Brave search and rescue dogs are happy to put themselves in unimaginable danger because a human asked them to. Jaded about life? Yep, that was me. Until one day I came across a video showing a little leaguer getting hit in the helmet by a pitch. Scary, right? That's when the most remarkable thing happened. The batter, seeing the pitcher crying about what he had done, walked over and gave him a hug and consoled him. That video in the blink of an eye gave me hope and inspired me to do for others what it had done for me. That journey starts now. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to Mission Inspire, where I've made it my mission to find, share, and celebrate content that hopefully inspires you and makes the world around us better. My name is Grant, and thank you so much for joining me today. I have a wonderful story to share with you today, a very inspirational story that really touched me. It's about 7 dogs who were search and rescue dogs in the aftermath of the 9/11 terrorist attacks in New York. They searched the World Trade Center and other rubble to find victims. And then afterward, after a certain amount of time had passed, obviously they became remains searching dogs. So they search for remains to help give closure to the families of the victims. Such an inspiring story today. I'm an animal lover myself, as I've said before, and this work that these animals did is so amazing. They put themselves, them and their handlers, put themselves in harm's way to try to find people in all that destruction, and then after that they tried to find their remains to give closure to the family. So let's get into today's story. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope it's as inspiring to you as it is to me. So the website we're going to visit today for the story is allthat'sinteresting.com, so please go and visit them and give them some support. And the article is entitled 7 Fearless Rescue Dogs Who Risked Their Lives to Help the Victims of 9/11. From Riley the Golden Retriever to Apollo the German Shepherd, these canine companions remained calm and performed their duties in the face of chaos following the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. There are many heroes at Ground Zero in the wake of the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001, but not all of them walked on 2 legs. Many 9/11 rescue dogs played a major role in the search efforts that took place in the days after the tragedy, particularly when it came to finding survivors who were lost in the rubble. In fact, the last living person rescued from the World Trade Center, 27 hours after the Twin Towers collapsed, was found by one of these dogs. Naturally, the search and rescue effort took a massive mental toll on everyone involved, including the dogs. Given that many of these canines were trained specifically to find survivors in the event of a disaster, they were often discouraged when, after hours of searching, they turned up nothing. To keep morale high, the handlers which had to stage mock finds to help the pups feel successful. The rubble also took a physical toll on the dogs. They were covered in debris with their paw pads, eyes, and nose requiring constant cleaning. To ensure the creatures were properly taken care of, veterinarians were stationed at the site to constantly monitor them. Although they often get less credit than their human counterparts, there is no doubt that these 9/11 rescue dogs are just as deserving of the title hero. Brittany, the 2-year-old golden retriever whose first assignment was 9/11. Brittany was only 2 years old when she arrived at Ground Zero. In fact, it was her first mission. Her trainer, Denise Corliss, was an electrical engineer at the time, but she found herself fascinated by the work carried out by these disaster search dogs. Eventually, she learned that civilian volunteers, if they trained their dogs well enough, could be called in to support federal emergency responders. I was so excited about doing this, but I didn't have the appreciation of how life-changing it would be, Corliss said in a 2014 interview with Today. It took 20 to 30 hours a week easily to stay on top of the training. This is what I did when I wasn't at work. But the training ultimately paid off. Because Corliss and Brittany qualified for the Texas Task Force 1 in 2000, 1 year later, they put all their hard work to the test when they were called to New York to help with the search and rescue efforts at Ground Zero. There, they put in 12-hour shifts for 2 weeks straight. Brittany had an uncanny ability to recognize when people were feeling down, and she always went out of her way to approach first responders who looked despondent. Once, she noticed a firefighter who wore a grim expression and broke away from Corliss to attend to him. I was surprised that she wasn't listening to me, but she really wasn't. I was like, "She's flipping me the paw," Corliss said. She went right to the firefighter and laid down on him and put her head on his lap. By the time of the 2014 interview, Brittany was 15 years old and one of the last surviving rescue dogs of 9/11. She was given a hero's goodbye in June 2016 when members of the Cy-Fair Fire Department and Texas Task Force 1 saluted her as she entered the vet clinic for the final time. Sage, the border collie who searched the Pentagon for survivors. Sage was always going to be a hero. She became a Federal Emergency Management Agency rescue dog when she was 18 months old. And like Brittany, 9/11 was her first real assignment. Unlike Brittany, though, Sage was deployed at the Pentagon. Remarkably, as the Washingtonian reported in a 2012 feature, Sage even sniffed out the remains of one of the terrorists who had flown American Airlines Flight 77 into the Pentagon. It was clear that Sage had a knack for finding people, and she and her handler, Diane Wetzel, put her capabilities to use in a number of instances. For example, in 2005, Sage was sent to Aruba to search for the missing teenager, Natalie Holloway. Then, from 2007 to 2008, Sage recovered human remains in Iraq in the midst of the war. Sage turned out to be the warm fur for soldiers to cry into, Wetzel said, or just a playmate. Tragically, in August 2012, Sage lost her battle against respiratory cancer that may have been caused by sniffing through toxic debris. A memorial was held for her in Roswell, New Mexico, and Wetzel said at the time that it showed just how many people Sage really helped. It was amazing, Wetzel told local news channel KOAT at the time. I lived with her every day since she was 10 weeks old, and I didn't even realize how many lives she touched. Tracker, the 9/11 rescue dog who was later cloned. Tracker was a German Shepherd who pulled the last survivor of the 9/11 attacks out of the rubble on September 12, 2001. To many, it was obvious that Tracker was a special dog, and it was clearest to his owner and handler, James Symington, a retired Canadian police officer. Time seemed to agree, as they once named Tracker one of history's most heroic animals. Symington served with the Halifax Regional Police for 13 years and even helped develop the department's Canine unit. It was there that he first met Tracker, who joined the unit from the Czech Republic in 1995, when he was 14 months old. Tracker served the police department for 6 years, sniffing out more than $1 million in contraband and aiding in hundreds of arrests. In the aftermath of 9/11, Symington and Tracker, who had been retired from the Halifax Canine Unit 4 months earlier, drove overnight from Canada to Manhattan to help with search and rescue efforts. On the morning of September 12th, Tracker was digging through the rubble when he got a live hit, and firefighters pulled Janelle Guzman, the last survivor to be found, from the debris. Symington was so impressed by Tracker's personality and skill that he later had the German Shepherd cloned. Per a 2009 report from ABC News, Tracker's DNA was submitted to BioArts International, a company that was seeking the most clone-worthy dog. CEO Lou Hawthorne told the news outlet Tracker was just so far beyond any of them, he was the clear winner. The clones, Trust, Solace, Valor, Prodigy, and Deja Vu, reportedly showed similar personality traits to Tracker from the beginning. Symington said these qualities include high intelligence and an extreme high amount of confidence. Tracker died in 2009 after 14 years by Symington's side, but his young clones allow the loyal 9/11 rescue dog to live on. Riley, the iconic hero dog of 9/11 search and rescue effort. Riley was one of some 300 dogs deployed to search for survivors at Ground Zero in the wake of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Despite only turning up bodies of victims, Riley was steadfast in his resolve to find anyone who was still living among the wreckage. Chris Selfridge, Riley's handler, told the New York Times, "We went there expecting to find hundreds of people trapped, but we didn't find anybody alive." Riley knew the people he continued to find were dead, he said. He was never a formally trained cadaver dog. His job was to find still living. I tried my best to tell Riley he was doing his job. He had no way to know that when firefighters and police officers came over to hug him, and for a split second you can see them crack a smile, that Riley was succeeding at doing an altogether different job. He provided comfort, or maybe he did know. Riley was also photographed being lifted over a 60-foot deep chasm of debris via a pulley system in search of survivors. It became one of the most iconic images from the 9/11 search and rescue effort, making the canine a nationally recognized hero. Jake, the black lab who helped after 9/11 and Hurricane Katrina. Jake was a black Labrador retriever who was adopted at 10 months old by his owner and handler, Mary Flood. Though he was initially found abandoned on the streets with a dislocated hip and a broken leg, Jake recovered and went on to live a long life in which he helped countless people. Not only did Jake work as a 9/11 rescue dog as part of the Utah Task Force 1, but he also helped in search efforts following Hurricane Katrina in 2005. Against all odds, he became a world-class rescue dog, Flood said, according to a 2007 Associated Press report. Flood trained Jake to become one of fewer than 200 rescue dogs certified by the U.S. government, meaning he was effectively on call to respond to sudden emergencies at all times. So, when the Twin Towers fell, Jake was there. When Hurricane Katrina ravaged Louisiana, Jake was there. He also worked as a therapy dog, helping survivors cope with the horrific experiences they had gone through. He was a great morale booster whenever he went, said Flood. He was always ready to work, eager to play, and a master at helping himself to any unattended food items. Unfortunately, Jake's work took a physical toll on him. He died from cancer at age 12, and the disease may have been developed due to the breathing in the air at Ground Zero. His autopsy later became part of a study on the effects of toxic debris on the 9/11 rescue dogs. Roselle, the guide dog who led her blind owner to safety. Michael Hinchin was born blind, but thankfully he had his trusty guide dog Roselle to help him navigate life. There was perhaps no day that showed the bond between Hinchin and Roselle better than September 11, 2001. On that fateful day, Hinchin was working in his office on the 78th floor of the World Trade Center's North Tower when he heard a sudden boom, and then the building shuddered. As others around them began to flee, Roselle calmly guided Hinchin out of the office and to the closest stairwell. Over the next hour, Roselle led Hinchin down 1,463 steps. Along the way, she gave kisses to other panicked office workers who were making the long trek to the ground floor. Firefighters heading up the stairs also stopped to pet Roselle, and she may have been one of their final positive memories before they perished when the towers collapsed. Indeed, the South Tower fell just as Hinchin and Roselle exited the World Trade Center, and she guided Hinchin to a subway entrance to escape the debris. Unfortunately, Hinchin believes that the toxic air they breathed that day may have contributed to Roselle's diagnosis of thrombotrichopenia in 2004, a disease that affects blood platelets. Remarkably, however, Roselle lived on until 2011, with Hinchin by her side the entire time. Apollo, the first 9/11 rescue dog to arrive at Ground Zero. Apollo the German Shepherd had served with the NYPD Canine unit for many years before the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and as such he had already proven himself to be handy in an emergency. He and his trainer, Peter Davis, were among the first wave of workers called in to help with the rescue operation. We were there right after the buildings collapsed, Davis said, according to the American Kennel Club. To get to the rubble, we had to go through almost waist-deep water. All of a sudden, Apollo disappeared, fell into a hole, then this big fireball comes up, and he comes running out. He was on fire. I brushed off the burning embers, and he went right back to searching. Apollo was later awarded a Dickin Medal, sometimes called the Animals Victoria Cross, by People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, a British veterinary charity. He accepted the award on behalf of all 9/11 rescue dogs, with the citation reading, "For tireless courage and service of humanity during their search and rescue operations in New York and Washington on and after 11 September 2001. Faithfully to words of command and undaunted by the task, the dog's work and unstinting devotion to duty stand as a testament to those lost and injured." So, what a remarkable story today. I found this and I couldn't wait to share it with you. It was an inspiring story to me. One of the points of this story that really stood out to me was the one with the dog that kept finding remains instead of live people, and that even affected the dog's mental health and the dog's morale. I thought that was fascinating. It shows, just to me, it reinforces how smart these animals are. The other thing about this story that really got to me was these dogs are not, as we know, these dogs are not dumb. They knew that they were entering a very dangerous situation. In my research, I found that in some places the rubble from the World Trade Center rubble was 4 to 5 stories high, just loose rubble 4 to 5 stories high. You could fall through. There's things that you could get injured on. There was toxic smoke and dust in the air, and these animals happily, gratefully, just entered that situation, and wanted to help. They followed their handler in and did everything they could. So, such a touching story to me, an inspirational story. It was a very dark time for our country. I remember this day very vividly. I remember seeing the events unfolding on TV, on the news, and but to be on the ground in the thick of it, living, breathing, touching it, I can't imagine, because it just really gets to me. So these dogs are amazing. Their handlers are amazing. Unfortunately, all the dogs, it's been long enough now where all the dogs that firsthand participated have passed on. The one dog got cloned. I'm not sure about that a little bit, but if the dogs that his clones can help others like he did, then I guess that's a good thing. So what did you guys think of today's story? Have you ever been in a situation where a rescue dog has found you? Have you ever been lost in the wilderness or anything like that, and a dog has helped and assisted to find you? If you have, let me know in the comments. Do you train search and rescue dogs? If you do, let me know in the comments. Do you own a dog? Do you have a pet? Do you have a pet dog? If you do, let me know their name. I'd love to know their name. Love to start a dialogue. Please consider following or subscribing to the channel. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I post inspirational, positive content, because we need that. I think in the world we need that. So if anybody that you might know that might benefit from this type of content, please share it with them. I'd love to get the channel, to grow the channel and get the stories out there more, and hopefully inspire and make others feel good. Thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate all of you. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday. Thank you very much.